there's damage, disease, or trauma to the body, then the electrical potential at that site changes because it's been disrupted. And
Mm.
so what we do is we reintroduce the currents to the body via the arc. And what it does in simplistic terms, which is the way I understand it, it actually kickstarts the body to restore normal activity to the body.
So is it so? Because I'm just thinking from a muscular point of view. So if you've got, I don't know if you know what a trigger point is in a muscle. It's normally a point where you've got excessive activation, if you like. So excessive electrical input going into a particular part of a muscle. So I'm just wondering if it works whether there's not enough electrical impulse or there's too much electrical impulse.
Yeah, what we found, and we've now used this on over 20,000 people, is that it restores balance. So
Mm.
if there's too much of something, then it reduces it, and if there's too little of something, it increases it. So it restores the balance.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, again, I know from, speaking to you before, and I know, a member of my family has used one for, I'm not sure how long it's been now, maybe 5 or 6 months, I think it might be, that you don't necessarily place it over the area of the pain. Can you
No, that's
explain a
not.
little bit?
No, that's not necessary at all. We
Mm.
flew in the face of convention really because throughout my research, what I found was there are other microcurrent devices, and this technology has been known about for well over 100 years. So there have been and there are other microcurrent devices, and many of them still actually they either um, deliver the currents through clips to the earlobes because the thought there is that the vagus nerve plays a really big part in how this technology works. So that's one theory, and the other one is that the positive and the negative electrodes need to be local to the area where there is a problem.
Mm.
And certainly, when I first started with a really basic prototype, we had two positive electrodes, two negative electrodes. We used to put two positives below the point of the problem and the other two above it. So we followed that earlier convention of putting it local, and it worked. And it worked.
Mm.
But then I had an increasing number of people that were saying to me, and look, I'm using it for my knee, for instance, and yet I'm getting a sensation in my shoulder, as an example. And I had to think about this long and hard for a long time. And then I realized or remembered that I'd read somewhere that this technology works systemically at cellular level. So
Mm.
every time that the people have come back to me with that comment since, that they've got a sensation, not unpleasant, not painful, just a sensation, I always say to them, have you ever had trauma of any description where you're now feeling that sensation? And the
Mm.
and the answer has always been yes. And what that shows to me is this technology working systemically. So there is something unresolved in the shoulder, which may be the fact that there's scar tissue there, and the body is actually uh, uh, working on that area as well, because we have seen that pre-existing scar tissue is replaced by original tissue. We've seen that on humans a number of times. Um, so it works systemically at cellular level, and therefore it is irrelevant where you enter the currents to the body. And the easiest places from a practical point of view to do that is either on the upper arm or on the leg, either just above the ankle, which is where most people wear it, or if people with very slim ankles, they can wear it immediately below the knee so that the calf prevents the strap holding the arc from slipping down, or immediately above the knee. But it really doesn't matter where you enter the currents, provided the two electrodes are touching the skin.
Yeah, and that's because, as you said, that's because it works at the systemic level.
Yes, absolutely.